What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Season 6, Episode 6. So in this one, the team finds some old GPS some old rockets and stuff they launched with that they lost but they lost in previous seasons with the GPS devices attached. So they get those. It looks like basically they hit the boundary of the bubble and just slid down. So then they start trying to map out the boundary of the bubble. And then they continue analyzing some of the poreholes of the. Then they do some lasers and all that. Basically try and figure out what's going on, like what the boundary of the bubble is. And yeah, I thought it was interesting that they found the lost GPS devices. That was great that they were trying to follow up on it. And I hope they actually get somewhere with all this. But yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, Season 3, Episode 6. So, this one, Andy and Paul go to Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, which had a Roswell incident where there was a alleged UFO crash site, and that was allegedly covered up by the government. Basically, so I guess people who are within the UFO sphere are aware of this story, the Kecksburg crash. So they decided to go up there, look at all the signs, interview some of the people who live up there, are familiar with the story, familiar with a lot of the theories and all that. So they basically go over there and try to see if they can figure out what's going on. And then, yeah, I thought it was interesting, the potential government involvement, the all the stuff with the actual lore with the crash. And yeah, I thought it was really interesting. It's nice to go to a new location. It is nice when they go to new locations. They're I'm fine with follow-ups of older sites, especially ones that need follow-ups. But I do want newer sites explored. Honestly, I want to go outside the US for some stuff if they can. But yeah, overall, I like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Reborn as a vending machine, I now wander the dungeon. Season 2, Episode 2. So in this one, the group heads back to the village, and basically people are taking refuge from an attack from monsters, inside the Homeowners Association building. So basically everyone tries to Boxo gives food to everyone, and then basically everyone's fine off. Lami's gets really tired, and then it's revealed that there's a flashback to Lami's and Hulami's village being destroyed, with them being the only survivors. And so Lami's is tired out and still fights. So and Boxo is actually able to say words telling her to not like move, to not. But then once she hears him actually speak actual words, she passes out. And Hulumi who is able to figure out that basically Boxo uses the letters in whichever speech patterns he's able to use to make to switch around a little bit to make whatever actual words. Now there's only so much he can do with that. So he starts being able to speak through that in the kind of a broken Japanese. to us in the subtitles, it looks like broken English. But yeah, Boxo fights the monsters, but he like starts losing a lot of coins, so he has to like flee. And Lami scolds him, and yeah, so everyone's trying to figure out what to do because Boxo needs more coins so that he can help. And Sori has an idea. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. You know, Boxo's interactions with Lami's were hilarious. There's the whole bit of like, so he can't say Lumi's name. Like he's not able to say it. He can say Lami's name. So Lumi's like a little. I mean, she knows that he can't. Boxo can't say it, but Boxo like basically uses his language to call Holomi cute. Holomi blushes and Lami's is like, the frick you say? So that bit was funny. So yeah, I really like this episode. Look forward to the next one. Clevatess episode 2. So in this one, basically it's revealed that Glenn is weaker in his human form. And basically he intends to stay that way until Luna becomes king. And he also wants to have a closer view at humanity. And so basically it's revealed that the group that captured them, you know, it was called the Crows, they're a group of slave traders. And so Alicia is taken to the boss, and Clint's put to work in the kitchen. And then basically what happens that like, so since Alicia is a former hero, um, Broko like wants to find like her weapon, to sell, but she doesn't have it with her, so obviously that's wrong. So then Luna is taken to his character named Nururu, who's like a slave whose job is to take care of babies. Because, well, since she's had children, well, it, it's complicated. Basically, Nururu has had three stillborn kids. So none of them have made it. They all died. But she's had multiple stillborn like pregnancies. One came very close to killing her. And so, it's sad. It is a tragic story. But since she has given birth, she is designated with the duty of breastfeeding children. So that's what she does for Linda. And then so Clint actually offers for Naru to join him and basically be Luna's like feeder, like the wet nurse, but Naru says no. Since like they're all slaves, they can't leave. And then like Alicia's then brought to a mine where she sees like this slave get eaten by a sea monster called Arvensis. Since basically there's like something hidden in the bottom of the mine shaft that a hero named Cord was killed at. Basically, his sword's in there, and so the crows want the sword. And so basically, what happens is that, so there's this bandit that tries to violate Alicia, but Alicia is able to like use her immortality to dislocate her shoulder and cause both of them to fall like from a large height, and possibly that the curse that Glenn put on her could help her in a way survive. I mean, she's a walking corpse, so survive is a May not be the best way to call it, but yeah. So yeah, I really like this episode. You know, Sled was awesome. Alicia was awesome. This is definitely a dark fantasy series. It makes it very clear it's dark fantasy. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Tsuyokute New Saga Episode 2. So in this one, Kyle decides to become a hero to prepare for like you know, the battle in 3 years, and Theron goes with them, and then so Elise was initially not going with him, and Kyle kisses her, but Kyle comes across a character named Urza. Now that's not her real name. Her real name is like her real name, like because she's an elf. There's some issue with elves with their real names, and he knows her real name from his past life, where after Elise died, he fell for Urza. Well, and he called her by her real name. And, Urza like, what the frick, how do you know that? And Balcazine, like, Kyle puts her to sleep, and Lisa's like, Lisa gets jealous. And so then Urza joins the party to, like, basically, um, like, basically until, like, there's, like, some contract to keep him from using her real name for evil. And basically, so yeah, so the four of them form a party. They go to this tunnel, dig for treasure in order to get around all the traps. Then once they get through the treasure, and then basically there's a scene there in the break where Urza, aka Excess, is in has a creates a hot spring for her and Elise. And it's funny where Theron tries to like spy on them, and Kyle basically stops him. So it's kind of funny, and it's funny how Kyle uses Theron basically. So when they see the money, Theron's like all happy about it. Kyle sees like Elise and Urza's reaction. He's like, now they'll be pure and not obsessed with money. They see how stupid Theron looks. Yeah, but so like I think so. Yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Looks like there's something involving a talking sword. Looks like for next week. So yeah, I'm interested in that, how that goes. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Rising of the Shield Hero, Season 4, Episode 1. So this one, to prevent any more like assassination attempts on Raftalia, Naofumi leads his party to Tinlo. And first, on the way there, they go to Siltville, and basically to like I guess get passage there. And Silveld really likes the Shield Hero, and basically try to crown him as king because they worship the Shield Hero. And then basically that causes, you know, basically now for me to get drawn into like some of the political problems going on. And so yeah, basically they're very strict on what they're doing. And so yeah, I thought it was a decent start to the season. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how they handle the assassins, what happens with Continuo. And overall, yeah, I like this episode. Interesting to see Sylvel, the new, it's like a new kingdom and all that. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one.
Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.